everybody, and welcome to That's Audacious. I have another amazing Audacious guest with us today. The incredible Steve Liddell from Street Science is with us. And without further ado, what I'm going to do is get Steve to introduce himself. Steve, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and what your business does.
Thanks, Lauren. So Steve Liddell, founder and science communicator here at Street Science. So we're a Queensland-based small business. We've got about 14 staff at the moment. And what we try to do is travel around the country and get kids genuinely engaged and excited about science education. So my background is obviously as a maths and science high school teacher. And about 10 years ago, I got out of the classroom, had a few frustrations there at the, I suppose, how sterile the education system was becoming and the lack of student-centered, contextualized learning experiences. And I jumped out and I set up a small business. And here we are some 10 years later, traveling around to schools with big hydrogen fireballs and liquid nitrogen clouds, and just getting kids excited about science and teaching them the Australian curriculum while we do it.
That's brilliant. I love it. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because my belief for many years being dyslexic is that every child has a different way of learning. What was it most that really made you go, hey, I have to do something different here? What was it that led to you going, why don't we do this?
Well, as a science teacher, so I taught, I think before the idea came to me, I've been teaching for 7, 8 years in high school, and I started teaching juniors, as you do as a new grad, so you grade 8s, 9s and 10s, and you learn your trade. And then I spent a couple of years taking on a more senior management role, and I took on a pastoral coordinator's role. So if you think of the education system, there's 2 ways to climb the ladder. You can head off down a curriculum pathway and become a head of department, head of science or maths, or go pastoral and look at student behaviours and that sort of stuff. And that was definitely my cup of tea. So I started working with students, and when you're dealing with behaviour management, you're dealing with those disengaged students. And I could just see the patterns, and I realised that a big part of why students are disengaging is the pedagogy and the way we actually teach kids. And I found that those teachers who provide I suppose, a dry learning experience for the kids play up more. So I thought, hey, a good way to engage kids, change the way we teach.
I love it. That's such an awesome thing to do. We all talk about how, the bad kids in school, the ones that have got poor behavior or so on, and that sort of drags the rest of the class down, and it doesn't set them up for a very good future. And everyone sort of scratches their head and goes, oh, what has to happen? And yet you've really landed on a solution that is all about engagement, really, isn't it? Is that what you found has been is it edutainment what you do?
No, edutainment gets floated around. I hate it because we are entertainers and we educate at the same time, but I'm not a big fan of some of those catchphrases. I think education is at the core of everything we do, but we found a way to entertain the children and engage them while we do it. And as you were saying earlier, there's children, dyslexic kids, for example, in class, or any sorts of learning difficulties. If we're just going to present content to children, get them to open a book and revise what we're doing and write notes on the board and have them write it out, but honestly, these days, we're going to have 20% of our class who are going to tap out and they're going to play up because they're just not going to keep up. Sure, 80% will get through, but we've got to do better than that. So I think our products, we'd be the biggest science outreach company in the country these days. Pre-COVID, we were working with about 150,000 Aussie kids every year, and we're blowing their minds. We're really engaging these kids, and they're coming up to us at the end of the day and giving us hugs and high fives and fist bumps and saying, this is the best day ever. This is my best day I've had at school all year. And that's pretty bloody powerful.
Brilliant. That's awesome, isn't it? Changing lives from such a young age. And when you mentioned there COVID and some of the changes that have taken place, I know you teach maths and science and so on, but how much is sort of new technology and virtual reality and all those sorts of things, is that impacting on what you're doing as well?
It has, yeah. There's been a massive shift the last couple of years in the education system. I think prior to COVID, we had some pretty good tech in schools. We were using smart boards. Teachers were doing a lot more teaching using technology, but COVID forced their hand. So all of a sudden, children were learning from home all over the country. And the only way that teachers were going to be able to engage with their kids was using the tech, because they were broadcasting using Microsoft Teams and Zoom and all that. So we had to do the same. And we are very much a face-to-face business where we get the students doing hands-on activities and actually touching and feeling and making things as they learn their science and hearing the bangs and seeing it happen in front of them. So that was pretty tricky, but it was something that we took some time out to really consider and think about how we can use tech to our advantage. And coming into 2020, we pivoted very heavily. Otherwise, we simply wouldn't have survived as a business. 100% of our business was face-to-face. And through 2020, we got locked out of schools for about 6 months. So without a pivot and adapting to the environments, we wouldn't have survived. So we started broadcasting into families' homes. We set up digital platforms, and a lot of those products are still running today. And they're sort of happening in the background and allowing us to scale into interstate and international markets where we don't have to be face-to-face anymore.
Brilliant. So that adaptation that you've had to do has actually led to some business growth, which is really cool. So that's obviously been a challenge dealing with that. But what do you think the biggest challenges are that you've had to overcome as a business leader in this space?
I think when you go digital and you use technology and people are working from home, I think culture in business is the biggest thing. And we've got a small team, 12, 14, 16, we sort of hover around depending on how busy we're getting. As soon as you don't have those opportunities to work together with a team, and over the last couple of years, that's been the way. We haven't, wanted staff coming together, and we haven't been running those programs in the community. I think that really can affect culture. So it's been something for me personally to really try and drive that positive work environment and keep that positive culture going and keep our staff happy.
Yeah, awesome. It is an interesting part of a brand, isn't it? Is the culture that people, not only the people that you have, is obviously the schools you work with and your clients, but the people who interact with your business, really getting a grip of what the culture of street science is all about. What are some of the things that someone would expect if they were working with street science that they would get every single time that they work with you?
Yeah, I think it's energy. We employ really strategically. We're working with children every day, and we've got to bring high energy levels. If we get excited about the content that we're delivering, the consumer or the crowd really goes with you. So I think that's something that we set from a high level within the business. I try to bounce around the office and have that high energy level. And then that can flow throughout the business. And we build that into the culture, that we're positive and that we're energetic. And then when we go out on shift, we get a fair bit of our clients who are predominantly teachers saying, geez, you guys are full of energy. It's 3 o'clock in the day and you've been going for the last 6 hours, you're still full of beans. And so it obviously shows. And that's so powerful for the kids and our clients.
Yeah, awesome. I hope you don't mind me saying, but I've always thought of you as the Steve Irwin of science.
It's interesting. I can never live up to the Steve Irwin and fill his shoes in any way, but I get that a bit. I think that's it's the passion. And as an educator, I think I was doing a guest lecture at the university the other day, just last week, and I finished. I was talking to 4th year undergrad education students. So I said, the number one influence to student outcomes is the teacher standing in front of the kids. It doesn't matter how well you're resourced or how poor your resourcing is at your school. If you roll in, you show a bit of passion and interest in the topics, your students are going to go with you and they're going to love it.
Yeah, brilliant. And it's a big difference, isn't it, between a teacher they engage with and a teacher that they hate. It's a fine line sometimes, and sometimes it just takes that passion and energy to change that. So, Steve, what are you and the team most proud of accomplishing? You've been around now 10 years. What are some of your big achievements?
There's been, look, over the last few years in particular, we've really had, I suppose our profile has really been built, and that's come off the back of a number of state-based awards, national awards, and we've taken out a couple of international business awards as well. And of course, we've had the pleasure of working with you guys at the Audacious agency to help us with some of those. So I think a big one, we took out the Telstra Small Business Awards for outstanding small business in Queensland a couple of years ago. And that's really been a stepping stone for us. It was a big process. They really go through your business with a fine-tooth comb. And they push you hard, and they really make you break down your business and look for the weaknesses and look for the where your strengths are, and look at the future as well. So I think taking that out, that was huge. And then off the back of that, we've taken out a number of Stevie Awards. The adaptation back in 2020 and 2021, we won the Lord Mayor's Business Award here in Brisbane for outstanding adaptation, which was amazing. And then obviously International Stevie Awards for People's Choice Awards, so the public obviously loving what we do as well, but then also taking them out for innovation and things like that as well in science education. So we've had a big few years, definitely.
Yeah, awesome. And I see a Australian Small Business Champion Award. I think that's behind you on the desk there.
It may well be sitting around there. That's our latest. So we took that out.
Yeah,
we took that out a couple of weeks ago, which was really powerful. Great to head down to Sydney and take the big one out as well. Yeah,
it's awesome to see you on stage and reveling in those accolades, which you so deserve. If you are listening to the That's Audacious podcast. And if you're enjoying this interview with Steve Liddell from Street Science, there are more like this on our channel. Please go and find That's Audacious wherever you have your podcasts, or you'll find us on our YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, and you'll get more of these as well. Now, Steve, what's the big goal? 10 years, all these accolades and awards, you're building, you're growing, you're really impacting kids and having this positive impact with this, leaving this amazing legacy. What's going to happen with Street Science? What's your goals?
Well, first of all, anyone listening in who is a small business owner and you're still standing, what is it, May 2022, you are bloody amazing. First of all, that's been a big achievement sort of coming through. And I've seen a lot of amazing small businesses fold, unfortunately, over the last few years. So we want to, now that we've gotten through the tough times, I really feel coming into the middle of 2022, we've got some pretty exciting times ahead. So world domination in the next 5 to 10 years, most definitely. What we're looking to do is expand the way we engage Aussie kids. So we're obviously doing a lot of work in schools at the moment, and community events are kicking off again, which is brilliant. So we want to really expand on that and start getting out there into the community and partnering with other small businesses, SMEs, some corporates, and look at how they're giving back to the communities and find out the ways that we can use science outreach and education in those communities as a way for them to really give back. So we're looking to partner with some organisations over the next 18 months, 2 years, and just start to increase the reach into regional communities, interstate opportunities, and then I suppose start to travel again in 2023 and beyond, and kick off some of those relationships that we were forming a few years ago, and dominate the world, mate, because we've cracked the code to getting kids engaged in education. So let's scale it up and have a bit of fun along the way.
Brilliant. I love it. What a great opportunity for businesses to really give back and get involved in their local community and know that they're having such a positive impact on the young people in their community. That's fantastic. What a great way to do it. Steve, if I could take you back to when you were, before you'd started your business, before you'd started in Street Science, way back then, what's some advice you might give yourself?
Wow, that's a pretty good question. I won't say buy up Bitcoin 10 years ago, will I? We wouldn't be sitting
NFT. There. Yeah, exactly.
Look, I think I've always been one to back myself. So I probably didn't need to give myself that advice, but I think just enjoy the ride a bit more along the way. I often put my head down and just power on and look for the next goal and the next goal, and probably don't take enough time out to slow down once you do kick a goal and go, have a look at what we've just done. Mate, slow down, enjoy it before you dive headfirst into the next one. So we've been really successful as a small business, but I certainly, in my next 10 years of business growth, I need to slow down a little bit and enjoy the ride a little bit more. So yeah, that'd be my advice. Slow down and enjoy the ride.
Brilliant. I love it. There's so many entrepreneurs, they do burn out. And you're right, it's been really tough these last few years, regardless of whether you've had a business that's done very well out of the pandemic or vice versa. It's been hard work, and a lot of people have struggled to get back into it. So I love when you say, when you've cracked the code and you know what it is you're doing, then just roll it out, keep working on what works and go for those accolades and enjoy the fact that you're doing well. It's such great advice. Steve, any last tips or advice for entrepreneurs who are listening to this conversation on what they should do to grow their business? You've been around for 10 years, you've got total world domination in your sites. So any ideas or tips for them?
I'd say, and I've been saying this for a little while now, you've got to surround yourself with people who are really bloody good at what they do. So as an entrepreneur, you're probably kicking off your business, being good at your trade, but maybe not having the skill set for your digital marketing, for your building your profile, the legals, the administration, all of that sort of stuff. And we just want to get out there and do what we're really good at. So as soon as you can afford, and obviously when you're setting up a business, you don't have the funds to bring in amazing people straight away. But as soon as you get the opportunity, just like reaching out to yourself, Lauren and Annette, and working with you girls over the last few years, by engaging people who are specialists in their field, it can really advance your business and give you those accolades that you really do deserve. So, yeah, enjoy the journey. That'd be my advice, and stick with it.
Yeah, brilliant. Love it. Thank you so much. Steve, it's been an absolute blast chatting with you today. Thank you so much for the insight. I hope you've enjoyed that interview from everyone who's listening to this, and you go and contact Steve to get in touch with him if you are a small business looking to partner with an amazing company. There's a link underneath this video or on the podcast that you're listening to. Get in touch with Steve and Kim and the team at Street Science. And Steve, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you.
Yeah, my pleasure, Lauren. And I suppose for your listeners who are listening via the podcast, jump on the website, streetscience.com.au, and you'll actually get to see some short videos on there about what we do. Because I think as soon as you see those fireballs going off and the glimmer in those kids' eyes as they're learning science, that really gives you an idea as to what we do. So my absolute pleasure, always great to chat.
Brilliant. Thanks, Steve, and I'll catch you next time.
Thank you.